All right, this is my counseling journey by Emily Curlin. And it all started back probably a year before I applied into the program. I had been in campus ministry for a couple of years at that point at kind of a multi site church. And so got to see some different sides of ministry and the large scale. And the thing I realized I loved the most about ministry was the kind of pastoral and counseling side of it. And didn't know what that meant or what I would do with that. And so kind of sat on that for a little bit and was praying through it and realized that I wanted to go back to school and get my master's in counseling and try and figure out how to care for church staff and church pastors who maybe were experienced burnout or just needing a safe place to go and kind of process how they were doing, and the good and the bad and the ugly that comes with ministry. So began looking for programs but needed something that I could do online, and so was trying to figure out what the best fit for me was, and found CCU, which was the perfect balance between kind of the theories and principles of counseling and also the spiritual aspect. Counseling and spirituality were not something I felt like I could separate. And so wanting to have that happy medium, it felt like was the best within CCU. So remember getting to residency one, and I didn't know any of the girls in this photo, but now know each of them and are finishing with them, which is super exciting. And so just getting to campus and spending those first couple days, I think I was so tired, but so excited. And I remember Dr. Burkhart saying at one point, there's going to be a point in the process where you're going to want to quit. And I was like, I don't think so. And that has been the most true thing ever. And so it's been through some of these friendships that, we've continued to get through it all. So once we got through what felt like years and years of lots of academic work and studying and discussion board and missing responding to people and missing when to put posts and tons of time in Blackboard and figuring out what classes to take, and just spent that year fully in the academic side. And I remember getting to practicum and thinking, I don't know anything. I'm not like, I haven't learned anything. I've just crammed and I'm stressed and I don't know what I'm doing. And just really not having much patience or grace for myself. Um, and I can remember Dr. Klein just saying, you'll feel better once you start doing it. And I was like, I know, but I think like counseling doesn't feel like something you trial and error. And it kind of felt like that going into practicum. And so that summer before practicum, kind of that spring before practicum, I started looking for um, sites of where I could do that. And I stumbled across Insight Counseling Centers, which is here in Nashville. We have a bunch of different offices. So we're kind of in downtown, but also in the suburbs of Nashville. And Insight was originally started as a counseling center specific for pastors and church staff. And so they were not open to the public necessarily. They were open to anyone who was serving in the context of a church, and realized that need was so much greater. And so that's still who they primarily were created for, but they've opened up to the public. And so definitely have a variety of clients and population. I see couples, individuals, and adolescents. So it's been great to kind of try and dip my toe in all of that and see which one I might like better. Um, and I knew I was going to do my practicum with them, but was hesitant about my internship. But the more that I kind of experienced the culture, and experienced the variety of population, is when I realized that I wanted to stick with it. And I think it was going to give me a great experience, um, to stay with them for internship. And so decided to stay with them. And it really has been great. I have a great supervisor who invested me and always knows how to challenge me, but also encourage me at the same time. So fortunate enough that they're willing to also contract me on as a therapist once I finish in December. So it definitely has been an exciting thought to potentially continue to work for them and actually get paid to do so this time. It's crazy that we're at the end of this journey, and it feels like, there's so much grief that comes with that. But these pictures are people from residency 3, and some of those people are the same and some are different. And so just being able to see the Lord's faithfulness in providing people along the way has been so great and exactly what I needed when I first started this program. Right after I applied and got in the program, my marriage came to a abrupt halt, and so felt really alone and unsure what I was doing, and just really prayed that God would provide not only community physically for me in the city I was in, but really just through school. There's something about being in the same stage of life and going through the same thing that people just, if you're not in it, you don't fully understand it. And so I was just really prayerful that the Lord would send people who would just understand the excitement of being back in school and understand the fears and the concerns and the chaos that comes with being back in school, especially as working adults with spouses and children and lives of our own. And so these pictures are of people who were just answered prayers, and was the Lord saying, like, I've got you covered, and you're not alone. And even if you all live in different cities and different states across the country, you'll be able to make it work. And so just really figuring out what community looked like in the midst of virtual and in the midst of a pandemic. And so part of me is like, it's not ironic that we were in a pandemic while all of us were doing life virtually together and doing school virtually. In some ways, we were probably more prepared than we ever thought we'd be, or that maybe the average person was. And so it's great to look back on these moments and see how much the Lord has done, and how He's going to continue to use us to support each other from afar. And so I have no fear that these friendships will last, in part because we've had to do our friendships virtually this whole time. So we know exactly how to do it. We know what it looks like. And so it's just continuing that, um, just as we're professional counselors now. And the next step, it feels like, is graduation. I'm continuing to do my internship this fall. I need to get just a couple more hours. So I will still kind of be in that rhythm this fall, but can't believe that graduation is coming. And I feel like it's the thing that I just want to tie a little bow on it and get closure and complete, and also a time to celebrate. I think for this cohort, we've been able to really persevere through a lot and have shown, that we can do hard things. And so I want us to be able to have a space to celebrate that and to be able to lock eyes and arms with one another and say, we did it. We crossed the finish line. One thing I was reminded of early on in this program, but then really as this latter past couple months, is that when I think about this program in the context of a marathon, the hardest part of a marathon is the last mile, the last 2 miles. And most people who run a marathon, that's the last couple miles is where their family is standing to cheer them on because they're going to need it the most in those moments. And so I feel like as we're kind of rounding this final corner and in the last marathon, in the last mile of the marathon, it feels like the only way we're going to get across the finish line is with each other, is to be standing on the sidelines, cheering loudly, and to be carrying each other across that finish line. So excited to do that this fall, but really excited to actually do that at graduation and be in a place where we don't have as much school that is due, and we can just celebrate all that God has done and all that we're going to do. So very grateful for you all and being able to do life together as well as do school together, and just the friendships that been able to make throughout this program. I am a better counselor and pastor and follower of Jesus because of the influence of the people in this picture and the professors who have continually poured in and invested in me. So thankful, and we'll just keep pushing forward until we get to really celebrate.